That's what's behind me.
That's marvelous.
I will show you the sheet. On the stamp section of the postcards I'm sending out, there will now be stamps.
Ooh.
And I also discovered that Canada does allow you to make your own stamps. And so I have done a preliminary one.
Canada lets you make your own stamps?
Well, they have just like the US, you can go on and customize stamps with an image.
Oh, I did not know this.
You can do that in the US. Well, in Canada, you can too. I will show you just a second. Let me pull it up first. My desktop, let's see. Where is it? Is this it? Yes, here we go.
And Sarah's still on the Titanic. I would have thought you would have gotten off by now.
Yeah, Sarah wants to go back to
A better time, a more gracious era.
a different virtual background.
This is the stamp I actually tried to order today. I don't know whether it was. So it's got two eyes looking at you out of the stamp and little like number 1, 2, 3.
That's pretty cool.
I totally want to do that.
So
I want to make my own stamps.
Well, I believe you can do that through the U.S. mail. There's some
Yeah, you absolutely can. Years ago, I took, and you've been able to do it for a while. Years ago, I took some of my grandfather's paintings in for conservation and repair. And the conservator fell in love with one of the paintings. Not one that I particularly liked, but he fell in love with it. And he asked me if it would be okay if he made stamps from it. And he did. He made, that's what he used in his business for mailing things, were my grandfather's painting in a stamp.
Ah, very nice. So I have attempted to order them through Canada Post. The website was giving me a very hard time with using a US credit card. And I think I successfully ordered, but I'm not sure. So if I don't get a notification that I have successfully ordered, I will get back to them shortly. But if we just couldn't crack the worldview elaborated by scientists, the pattern of parallel roads, the foreheads of people, the slow decay, it comes up dripping, the color of the unseen. We crunch on, the lack of oxygen, analyzed, reaggregated, predicted, just for me. Hold water, lots of water, productized, bought and sold. World, self and body are reduced to his washing machine, her car's accelerator. He sought to flee France. She doesn't blink. These data are typical. They are not fireflies, but devils, unearthed perfectly preserved bodies, alive. Markets are that can be. Now I need to shift from one window to another. Okay, now. Disappear into the bloodstream of a Titanic.
We don't have it yet.
Okay. Do you see it yet?
Nope.
Okay, let me unshare and then restart sharing so I can and share screen and okay, now do you see it?
Yes.
Okay. And this has actually the word Titanic in it.
A different Titanic, though, obviously.
Different Titanic.
Actually, not entirely. Disappear into the bloodstream of a Titanic new conception, the drift towards a dark new world. Turn sideways to build a world below the living in aeroplanes that fill with smoke, nailing down the functional design, breaking her stride and ghosts. The seemingly solid surface, extraction and prediction in the sodden mat. Places where we just couldn't see, where the cell contents used to be. A porcelain face emerges from the shadow, the people with their devil horns and anaerobic rootings. These people were sacrificed. The recipe for certainty passes through us in silence. Sounds come from up ahead. Behavioral modification understood as the path. 5 long parallel roads, more and more one-way streets. All mean detours are shown below. The body is simply a set of coordinates. Orange lights bobbing in the black air. In the flatness of this flow, data are data. It will be. Now, can you see the next one?
Yep.
Yes.
Ahead in the darkness is a flock of fireflies, the pioneers of surveillance capitalism, blanketed in paradigmatic power, peppered with tiny pores, trying to decode what exists. Therefore, do you want me to pause, Sarah?
Yeah, just a second, I'll get it. It's Mariah. Hello? Hello? Hi. Are we doing the new yet? No? Welcome. Yes, we would love to.
Peter, you should stir your pasta.
Are you giving in to? All right. Are you giving in to Cora? Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Thanks. Yeah. All right. Bye-bye. Mariah says, come to dinner tonight? Sure. Sorry about that.
Okay, so.
You want to start again?
Yeah, I'll start with this page. Ahead in the darkness is a flock of fireflies, the pioneers of surveillance capitalism, blanketed in paradigmatic power, peppered with tiny pores, trying to decode what exists. We see, therefore, logic of accumulation, what little light glints on metal. You grab some, only when they are dead. When one looks at a map, referring back for a moment to the table of detours, I see a woman that does not suffer, even with the crossroads 2 miles apart. Promise. I'm glad it was red. And these are each individual postcards that will be sent to someone. The next one. In the far distance, I can see the tunnel arch. We keep between the tracks. Sensation and action are translated as data, from which we deduced the exact extraction imperative, then disappear feet first into the invisible city. Agricultural rituals. It is in fact open space as information. Yet I remember 20 years ago walking down the tracks towards us. What we did will save me, if only I could find it in the depths of the bog. The rest hang from the brain of green. Sit down on the tunnel floor, monitoring systems as insurers and their consultants plot the determination to commit suicide in a hotel, institutionalize economies of scope through death. Moral reasoning, politics, social norms, rights, values, relationships, feelings collapsed into a single dimension of equivalency, surveillance revenues, a year in which we sell this objective and measurable, indexed, browsable, searchable. And then it goes completely to hell. I'm not even going to try to read this one. And then we get to the last one, which I can read because there's a lot less text. Trying to create something from scratch, and shows us the way precisely because it contains the pattern, contexts, and situations. A most satisfying intellectual activity, upside down. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Brownies, their book. Paul.
Yes.
And this is obviously an illustration at the bottom that was cribbed from the Brownies, and that was in the Figco seed catalog, which my daughter began cutting up for collage. And that was one of the things that's like, oh yes, the Brownie preventing the capitalist in his hat from going over the Niagara Falls. So anyway, there we go.
Those are wonderful. Those are.
So are you going to send them as separate postcards to each person, not as a set to anyone?
Yeah.
But here we have them all together. Do you want them as one video or many?
I do it as one.
Okay.
And One of them has already gone off to my friend Sebastian, the one with the word Titanic in it. But, and then I cut out a bunch of other, I mean, essentially that's 5 different books. It has a bibliography. I already unshared. Let me tell you what books those were, just a second. Let me find I wrote it up for someone. Just a second, let me scroll up. Those were pages selected at random. Those are from pages selected at random from Christopher Alexander's A Pattern Language, 1977. Shoshana Zuboff, The Age of Surveillance Capitalism, 2019. Robert McFarland, Underland, 2019. Stephen Wolfram's Adventures of a Computational Explorer, 2019. And Robin Wall Kimmerer's Gathering Moss, 2003. So all of that text came from one of those 5 sources, all smashed together. And I did cut up a bunch of other books. I mean, which is to say I copy them and then I cut up the pages. I don't cut up the actual physical books. But then I kind of had worn myself out. And so then I made little baggies of carefully sorted phrases. Anyway, so that was, but part of the joy of this is
good, very good. I like those.
Yeah, and making these things and then sending out the originals.
Yes, and splitting them apart.
I'm glad you kept the images.
Oh yeah, no, I was initially going to just start sending out postcards a month ago without keeping any copies, and I realized that was wrong.
Yeah.
So I ordered a scanner, and I'm look in the dishwasher. I'm either using, or actually look in one of the drawers down there. There's another strainer.
Okay.
So I both take pictures of them with my phone and I scan them in. So I have a record of all of the postcards. So, but I don't know, I've sent out about 40 now of various kinds, but this was the first time in, this was on the 18th, that I spent all day doing the actual collage poetry thing by my formal methodology from 5 years ago. And so that's where it goes. Okay, I have to help Peter with some boiling hot water, just a second.
All right. It strikes me I should get back into, I did a thing which was a collage of illustrations and strange phrases.
I imagine there's good material there.
I should go back and play with that. Maybe put some color in it, because this was before you could have color.
Well, the black and white may be more interesting just for that reason. Because they had to work with tone and shape,
Yeah.
not with color.
Well, there's a good technique that Nick Bantock has that I used. Peter, can you turn that back? Okay. Which is that you scan in something, print it out, and then you scan in something else, and then you can print out the thing over again. So you can overlay things via your printer. If you have a good color printer, it works out great.
And you can do that with Photoshop or Affinity Photoshop
and so on, but it's in terms of like actual cut up collage where you're really cutting and pasting around. The printing things on top of each other works really well. I mean, you'd think that we can do everything digitally, but once you get into the actual kinesthetic motion, I mean, I would never do this on Photoshop.
Right. Yeah, because you need the crunchiness of the texture as well as.
I mean, the other thing is that's not to be minimized is the exercise of going through pages from multiple books and carefully cutting out the phrases that are striking and then organizing them by grammatical structure is a process during which you cannot ruminate. You cannot just keep going, it like blocks out a whole kind of thing. So there's a whole meditative process associated with this that takes, for the whole batch of phrases, that takes about 3 hours, in which you cannot have those repetitive thoughts going on in the back of your head. That's part of what this is for.
A handy thing in the current circumstances.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, but it also really engages with you with sort of the subtext of the text. And you also find out who can really write. You know, you think you know who can write and who's a good writer and who's not, but sometimes like the best ones when you cut them up will be like a book on fishing or something. When you really break it down to little units of meaning at the sentence level that are these, you know, little fragments that sort of that become the little jewel-like fragments that they're then insetting. So it's a particular practice of its own. But anyway, so I did a lot of that on the 18th, and then yesterday I did a lot of cutting things up, but I didn't taste. Oh, actually, I can show you the pictures of the cut up stuff that's not organized from yesterday if you want.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, just a second. Let's see if it's on this computer yet. Okay, now I need to go back into Zoom and share screen. Share screen. Okay, so that's the collection of things. So I'm sorting them by like grammatical type of things so that then they can be organized. So this is the things, which include such things as micromoths and small beetles over water meadows. The story of the 9 blind men. The symbol of spiritual adventures, part of the food chain. Charlatan magician. Theory of love. Curious archaeology, etc. So those are essentially my nouns.
Mm.
And then that's a review of the same thing. Things in the past tense, mixed with disbelief, taken almost literally, asked to reattach ourselves, inspired by a goddess, a mistress of myths, stared into milk, interpreted as poetic confession. Just a second. Well, it should resonate with deep need. This is the it things. It should resonate with deep needs once broken. It, in its center, is a horrible well. These are the characters, and probably the charlatan magician from the 2 slides back should go there. Lady of a strange country rather, melancholics and their exceptional powers, a creature to consume psychoactive plants, 2 scholars who do not realize that, the hidden forger of imagery, and by far the most important chessman, etc. So these are like the sorted into just categories, but not assembled. These are not glued down. These are just my shots before I shove them all into plastic bags. Mm. Also, one of the really important ones is things, you know, gerunds, beginning to appreciate their value, developing and reinforcing lasting attachments, etc. So that's the underlying process.
That's really interesting.
That's amazing.
The gerunds are a stepping stone in complexity in language. You're learning another language. It's very easy to say the book I read. Much harder to say the book which I was reading. And reading a book, I also had a glass of wine. And those kinds of sentences in other languages. In English, we don't think about it because they're embedded in their brains, but those structures in other languages become quite challenging.
The structures are both verbs and nouns. Yeah.
Simple sentences with a subject, noun, and object, a verb and object, not a problem to learn. It's the clauses and the gerunds used as an adjectival phrase and things like that that get very complicated and interesting language learning issues.
Yeah, well, I mean, I treasure the gerunds. Also, when you're writing, when you're trying to make something that has characters, you need to figure out who the characters are. And when you're only working from borrowed text, one of the things you have to do is find your characters in the snippets. and then find your nouns. And then there's the stuff that he does, the stuff that she does, the stuff that it does, the stuff that we do, they do. And so I sort all of those things before I go into the process of figuring out what to do after that. So.
Pretty cool.
Very good.
But also it's a really good psychological practice, and it both really engages with you, the text, and it blocks out the outside world. So.